necessarily the heaviest rain in the world, but it's enough to fully douse the circuit. It does dry relatively quickly here at Spa for the most part. And, oh, might really reached it. Either he completely locked the wheels as well, I wonder. The marshals do seem to be having quite a bit of trouble getting Jensen's car out of the gravel. So, we are on the second lap of this race. Keanu Al Azhari for MP Motorsport leads ahead of Pedro Clerot, his teammate. Then Christian Ho and Noah Stromstead. It's Campos. Then fifth place at the moment is Valerio Rinicello for MP Motorsport with Alex Munovic, sixth place for Carlin. Well, definitely not locked because the wheels are obviously moving. Seventh is Enzo Deligny for Campos Racing. You can see the Red Bull liveried car in the background. Eighth is Daniel Matzia. Jensen's been, his car got running again. Daniel Matzia, of course, he raced in Spanish Formula 4, did a full season in 2021. He was karting actually much later than most drivers at this level. Didn't really race last season much at all. Did one round in Spanish Formula 4. But good to see him back racing again. Continue with the order while we're under safety car. Noah Lyle is running 9th in the order for Carlin. Good to see Lyle back this year. He did a few rounds in Spanish Formula 4 last year, but his main championship was British Formula 4, in which he finished 13th overall. He also has done some UAE Formula 4 earlier on this year. But I think he's also twinning this season with British Formula 4 again. Now, so we're on the third lap of this race. I suspect that we should be going green very soon. The only problem with going green, waiting for the safety car to go around, is this is a very, very, very long lap. Well, the safety car is getting some laps in. At least he's having fun. I see Keanu Al Azhari for MP Motorsport leading the way. He is a rookie, Al Azhari. He's only raced in UAE Formula 4. Prior to that, he was a kart racer. So no prior car racing experience. But that's not unusual at this level. You see a lot of drivers who come straight in from karting. This is basically karting to F4 is the kind of the ladder progression. You do have some drivers like Christian Ho, like Noah Stromstead, like Valerio Rinicello, and Daniel Matzia as well, who have done most of a season, if not a full season, of Formula 4 racing already. Also not terribly unusual to see a lot of drivers who will actually combine championships, run dual campaigns, particularly if the tracks do not actually cross over any stage. It's generally a rule at most kind of Formula 4 and even Formula 3 levels. You can do two championships at once, but you know, you can't do the same track twice in a given year. Now coming towards the back end of the circuit. Marvelous track indeed. And it's quite dry. It actually has stopped raining quite a long time ago. So the track is very much dry and level. There's certain sections where if you go offline, it's going to be very damp. But for the most part, we are seeing completely fine racing. By the way, for those who were watching at the start, Alexander Bolduev, who spun on a dummy lap, he's actually not being scored at the moment. So, not entirely sure. I haven't got a message yet as to what the exact situation with him is. I don't know whether he's gone into the pits, or they've just stopped scoring him because he retook his position on the grid. But that doesn't matter for now, because they come around the bus stop chicane, and the green light is going to go, and Keanu Al Azhari is going to lead Pedro Clerot and Christian Ho and Noah Stromstead and Valerio Rinicella across the line to start this race once again. No move has been made into La Source. As we see the drivers exit the first corner, down into the famous Dip at Eau Rouge, and then up the Radillon to multiple bends. We will see if Clerot is close enough to Al Azhari to make a move, and it really does look like he will have this move done for the lead very, very early on, and he is past. Clerot has retaken the lead, but Al Azhari has ducked in behind to try and maybe get another run, but it's not going to work through here. Christian Ho still in third place ahead of Noah Stromstead. Ninovic up to fifth place ahead of Rinicella. Delaney also up to seventh place, and Noah Lyle is eighth. But up front, Clerot leading 4/10 of a second in hand. We have another spinner, another driver in the gravel. It is the number 35, Flavio Oliveri for Cram Motorsport, into the gravel. And fairly beached, so it would not surprise me if the race is neutralized once again. Not quite yet, so hopefully Oliveri's car can be cleared, or at least if he kept the engine running, he can clear it himself. Now, indeed, we have a yellow flag out at turn 7. It is a local yellow as it stands. But Clerot continues to lead from Al Azhari. Ho, third place, Stromstead fourth. Theo Neal has now made his way into the top 9. And we'll move down the inside. That was Theo Neal alongside, not sure if that was Daniel Nogales or Geronimo Berrio. And the safety car has now been called for the beached Oliveri entry at turn 7. And the race is once again neutralized. So the Brazilian racer Pedro Clerot leading this race. It was a finely anticipated move, exiting the opening corner at La Source, and really placed himself right under the rear wing of Al Azhari. Didn't need to overtake early, by actually hanging back by just a few seconds. He was able to kind of really get an unbeatable run on the old race leader on the exit of Radillon as they went down to Kemmel Straight. And by the time Al Azhari had actually sorted himself out and got behind Clerot, Clerot had actually was really too far ahead for anything to be done. You see the disappointed Oliveri looking on as the JCB comes and is linked to his car and it gets carted away. So that's interesting. That is through the con. I mean, yeah, very handy that they're using the runoff area as a go-through for the Formula 4 cars. So I just wonder then if Jensen de Oliveri has effectively been bumped off at some point. And that's got him beached. Would make it understand why he's a little bit disappointed in his body language. As the race is neutralised, it probably will be for another lap after this. You see the very, very damp section still offline. Then you have other parts of the circuit where it is completely dry. JCB drivers getting a lot of practice in. And actually, forget what I said a minute ago, because the safety car is in again this lap. That was quick. Thank goodness. And it is this occasion is Pedro Clerot who leads Keanu Al Azhari. You see some black clouds above, but are they going to threaten to pour more rain on this Spa-Francorchamps circuit in the 9 minutes we have left in this race? Remember, it is 9 minutes plus 1 lap. All the drivers weaving their cars around, trying to get or maintain some temperature. Pedro Clerot leads. Keanu Al Azhari, second place, with Christian Ho in third. Noah Stromstedt, fourth position. Alex Ninovic is running fifth ahead of Enzo Deligny. Noah Lyle in seventh. For Carlin, Valerio Rinacella dropped down to 8th place in the end. He was running 5th earlier on, so that'll be disappointing for him, but it matters little to Pedro Clerot, who comes out of the final corner of the bus stop chicane. That's very, very wide for Christian Ho, too. Puts him under pressure from Noah Stromstedt as they come towards the first corner, but Clerot looks absolutely untouchable as they come towards the first bend. Al Azhari in second position, but is he going to be close enough to challenge the race lead as they come down through the dip of Eau Rouge and then up Radion and onto the Kemmel Straight? And one driver who's going to be under a little bit of pressure is Deligny. I think he's got Noah Lyle just behind him there. That's a battle for 6th and 7th positions. Noah Lyle getting a very, very good run. We could see the Red Bull Junior driver drop down a position here as Lyle goes to the outside. He's got Rinacella just behind. Oh, sorry, that is Theodore O'Neill who's taking Rinacella. But right now, Lyle has gotten by. Nogales has also got into the top 10 as we see a battle over, that was number 13, that was the lower order of the top 10. That was between Matzia and Daniel Nogales. And Clerot leads. It's a very, very nice lead, a commanding lead so far. You see the number 2 black entry with the yellow nose cone. That's Noah Lyle just ahead of the Red Bull liveried Deligny. Lyle now into the top 6. And Al Azhari, I wonder if he's maybe bitten off a little bit too much too soon. Clerot is building a nice lead, but Al Azhari has got Christian Ho and Noah Stromstedt very, very, very closely behind. But that is going well off the circuit. One of the GRS entries. And I do believe that was either Carl Bennett or Daniel Matzia. But it is frantic action in the middle of the field. 3 wide coming through Blanchimont. Goodness gracious me. And someone has gone off the circuit. I can see down the bottom of the picture, I think that might have been Deligny, but I'm not entirely sure. Yellow flag is waving in the bus stop chicane. And I think, yes, that might well have been Deligny going off in the bus stop chicane. So he's taken a long way around and has dropped him well outside the top 15. Outbraked himself, possibly on a damp patch, and slid straight off. But Al Azhari is under pressure now. from Christian Ho for second place and comes right around the outside. That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. You'll probably get pinged for track limits, but my word, that was wonderful. Ninovic now challenging Stromstead. That is for fourth and fifth place. Well, he got Noah Lyle looking for a way through as well, and Valerio Rinicella in the orange car trying to find a way back. Stromstead just about holding on, but Lyle is trying to find a way through on Ninovic. Doesn't quite make it work, but that is incredible action coming up. Radion from those drivers. Lots of tyre smoke as well. Those drivers out braking themselves as Rinicella is looking to get the inside of Noah Lyle, who went slightly wide. And Tiafoe O'Neill is pressurising Rinicella himself. That is going to be for 7th and 8th positions. Pedro Clerot, not that particularly bothered by what's happening behind. The gap he has out front is 1 second over Keanu Al Azhari. And Rinicella desperately trying to find a way past Noah Lyle, who in some areas... Oh, and it's a spin! That's a spin for Rinicella! Got his wheels on the gravel and on the curb, lost traction completely, spun him around, and he's lost so many positions. He's dropped most of the way down the field. Incredibly disappointing for the Italian MP Motorsport racer. And you could just see at the bottom of the screen, he lost it, was beginning to lose the back end before he was really going into the corner. So maybe just a little bit too much of a correction coming through the section, and it totally lost the balance of the car. As we see more action on the rather damp circuit in the background on the entry into La Source. It's only 3 minutes left in this race. Actually, another thing to tell you about is actually a black flag has been issued to Theodor Jensen, who you may remember spun earlier on in this race and basically was refired by the mechanic. Oh, not the mechanics. I'm an idiot. It was refired by the marshals, and effectively, really in that kind of scenario, you're supposed to kind of really just go back to the pits because you've had outside assistance. You're effectively, your race is done. Well, Theodor Jensen actually got refired and just kept on driving around. So, and he has now pulled into the pits. Theodor Jensen now has pulled into the pits for his race is pretty much done. There is also questions. Car number 28 is under investigation for an error in the safety car procedure. That is Daniel Matzia in the GRS team. He's currently 11th place. Pedro Clerot, 7 laps now, continues to lead. Just 1 minute 45 plus 1 lap remaining. And a red flag is because of an extreme downpour. We saw a red flag coming out a few moments ago. Weren't entirely sure why. We did see as well that Keanu Al Azhari had actually dropped down the order. He was running in third place and lost about 4 seconds, and seemed as if the oh my, that is incredibly heavy, and seemed as if he may have just gone off and then rejoined. Now, Theodor Jensen, late in that race, and I do believe we have had a bit of an interruption in the stream, but Theodor Jensen actually got a black flag for rejoining the race. After being restarted by the marshals. So as it stands, as we see it, and there is a crashed car in the background. I'm assuming there's been one or two went off under these torrid wet conditions. And lots of all the umbrellas out. But I can't imagine a scenario where this is going to get going again. There was so little time left in the race. So what we do have is Pedro Clerot, and yes, there we are. The race director's session will not restart. There was nowhere near enough time left really to get anything in. It probably would have only been one lap around, and that would have been a checkered flag regardless. There is a Eurocup race scheduled, a Eurocup 3 race scheduled to take place directly after this session, and it'll be interesting to see how that will be managed if the weather continues to come down in as heavy as it does. But from this picture, it kind of looks like the rain's almost stopped already, which happens at Spa-Francorchamps. Pedro Clerot, as far as the timing screen is secured, is sorted at the moment, has won the race ahead of Christian Ho. It will be full points because pretty much we got to the end of the race. Noah Stromstead came home third for Campos Racing, with Noah Lyle and Alex Ninovich making it a good day for Carlin Racing on 4th or 5th. 6th position is Theodore Neal for Santalok Racing, with Keanu Al Azhari be very disappointed to come home in 7th place, especially considering he led earlier on, as we see a picture of a very, very, very damp kink up Radion. And Geronimo Berrio, also for MP Motorsport, coming home 8th, with Daniel Nogales taking 9th, and Matteo De Pelo coming home in 10th position. The fastest lap of the race, I will find out. And it is important, of course, because the fastest lap of the race actually gets you a point. I mean, there was a lot going on in that race. The Christian Ho, I believe, may actually have the fastest lap of the race of a 2 minutes 27.858. And that would be a point for him, the second place racer. Actually, only 1/10 of a second faster than Pedro Clerot. It's interesting, actually. I mean, there was a stage really where that track was clearly getting much quicker before the absolute downpour, because those laps are 2 seconds a lot faster than what happened earlier on. So we do thank you for watching, and we apologize, of course, for a slightly broken broadcast, and hopefully all the kinks will be ironed out tomorrow. We've seen Pedro Clerot win this first race of the season, and we will be back tomorrow morning for race 2 of Spanish Formula 4. My name's been Leo Gorman. It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you again.